a little bit like a budget white lock, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I don't think he understands English, so if he's watching, I'm safe.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's next to Ebenezer, so being in that company, and he's in one of the greatest second rows to have played for Scotland's fantasy team.
Jim bigged up his pack of forwards. Yeah. He's got a Namibian in there and a Uruguayan, all coming in at 4.5 points.
Worldly.
I've lost where we are. It's been so much fun talking about second rows. I suppose that's what happens when you're in a scrum. Ben, what have you got for your second row, please?
I've gone with a little bit of budget management, yes, but I've gone...
Oh, yeah, sure. Hang on, we've just been giving you some... What have you got here?
Sorry, when you sell your second row, your opening sentence can't be budget management.
I spent everything in 9 and 10, let's face it.
You have.
But I've gone with the grafter Pablo Huete from Chile, but...
The grafter. The grafter.
Line-out steals. Who is the best line-out stealer in Europe potentially at the moment? Cameron Woki.
Pablo Huete.
Cameron Woki next to him.
Okay.
Cameron Woki, who's next to him.
So you're moving on from Huete quite quickly?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. He's coming at 2.5 points.
Yes. Cameron Woki, though, a lot more, yeah.
Just
Grand Slam winner with France. Fit
Looks
again.
Good.
Could play 6'2", relentless around the park, fantastic defender, and line-out steals. He's my man.
He is an athlete, isn't he? In fairness. So you've gone for like absolute outstanding, and then maybe, should we say, a weaker second row? Is that just because of the fantasy price budget?
No, this is more to do with my role at World Rugby, where it's bringing other nations into one and growing the game.
It's got to do with his maths capacities too.
Yes, I also think this is a fantasy team which you've actually thought about maybe the 2027 World Cup. So Landaka for 2027, he'll be like 13 points.
Landaka's 53 now.
Exactly.
Hugo, come on.
I'm going to guess that you've gone for... Because looking at the budget that you've spent, you've got a Portuguese...
No, Hugo's got loads left.
He's got a ton to spend.
Right, Cameron Woki.
Nah, man.
Have you?
He's absolutely outstanding for everything that Ben just said just there. I think he's a phenomenal athlete. He's so dynamic in the line-out. He could easily be one-man lifted, bang up there. He's sensational in terms of line-out retrieval as well as line-out steals. And I've been quite creative with this because Vel Fafita also plays in the second row.
Yeah, well, because you've got him at 6, haven't you, Ben?
You've got him at 6. I've got him in the row. So I've got 2 dynamic, brilliant, all-round second rowers. I find it weird, as a winger stood here, I think I've actually got the best second row partnership
Yeah, I think you're right.
Out of this panel.
They've run out of money.
There's been a manipulation somewhere around the costings, around positions. Back rows playing second rows.
No, but they do.
Well, they now do,
Courtney Laws plays 6 and back row, and second row. Fafita plays back row as well as second row. Cameron Woki plays back row as well as second row. Just got to use your noggins, lads. That's all.
Fafita's interesting, though. We mentioned, didn't we, that he's next All Black. And like the Tongan squad in general have got quite a few. It's like Samoa, actually. They've got some real stars.
Yeah.
Have come in, haven't they?
Proper players. Lima Sopraga for Samoa, Fritz Lee, Jordan Tofa, Charlie Famuina. There's plenty of... I think it's a fantastic rule, to be honest.
Yep.
It gives us even more fun to have some strong bets on who's with the pride of the jersey, still with the talent there, maybe not peak of their form of their career, but still the ability to deliver in 3 months of a World Cup.
Are you a fan of the rule?
I am a fan of the rule.
Well, because I mentioned it earlier, you played for England and then you went to play for Scotland.
Exactly.
So
I'm a fan of the rule. Jack Dempsey playing at 8.
Yeah,
Australia, Cats.
What a player he's been.
Unbelievable
that you've left
player.
out of your side.
It was too expensive.
Because you chose a Namibian. You two got Woki. France, of course, have got Uruguay in their group. So Woki will be up against Lindeka, which will be an interesting battle.
Can't wait to see that.
I'm sure. You happy with your second rows?
No, not now. We've broken it down. Not now that I realised we could put back rows into the second row, not the other way around.
Yeah. So he's bigged himself up. He said his forwards are strong. You've been strong throughout. And now it's all about the front row. Who would have thought this is what it's come down to, Jim? Three positions left. The front row. Ben, I've got to start with you, of course. Now then, who have you gone for?
Well, what I need to make very clear is that I started from the fullback position, okay, and then I went gradually down, and then I completely ran out of money, and I've already picked 3 Frenchies. I could not pick any other Frenchman, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have had obviously Cyril Ball, Julien Marchand, Winnie Antonio. That would have been my go-to, okay. So I had to go for the deepest enemy, and I went with Ellis Genge, Jamie George, Thomas Francis.
Finally,
Yes.
there's a Welsh player
You're welcome.
in a team.
You're
Tell me it's because you wanted him as the stalwart, as your tight head.
I had
and he is
tremendous pressures from producers and Jim just to say you have
and
to
me.
pick Welsh.
Yeah, Welshie. So you're going for Genge,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
and Francis. George is
Absolutely.
expensive, but hookers can score, can't they, in fantasy?
They can score, and he tackles like an absolute machine. Extremely reliable. Plays pretty much every game more than 60 minutes. And then Ellis Genge next to him is the most
Baby Rhino.
feared baby rhino, the most feared loosehead prop in the world currently. With Beast having retired, honestly, you can pretty much say it. Runs around the park like there's no tomorrow. Carries the ball, very reliable, strong in the scrum.
Can I ask you, Jamie George, do you think he's the best? I mean, this is Ellis Genge. I mean, you talked through this. How
Look at that
great.
animal.
Yeah, with 17 on his back there, is he going to start the World Cup?
I reckon he's going to start, and he's probably vice captain.
He's vice captain. He has to start.
Yeah. No, look, he's an animal. He's an absolute freak for loosehead. Like, there's not many of him at the moment on the world stage. He carries a ton. He goes through a ton of work while scrummaging well and being very handy in defence. Nothing to chuck in a bin.
Go on, you had a Jamie George question.
Do you think Jamie George is the best line-out thrower in World Rugby?
100%. Yes. I want my hooker to be reliable, strong on the scrum, accurate in the line out, and active in defence. Jamie George fits that description
Not
perfectly.
Derry Lake. Did you not watch Wales against England in
Some
Twickenham?
player.
It was an unbelievable
Yeah,
line now.
injuries, though. You've got to think durability in all this. And Jamie, having played with him, is
Is
very
a nice
durable.
guy.
Yeah.
Lovely bloke. So
good lad.
it's too expensive. Though. I've spent all my money. I don't know on what.
What have you spent your money on?
Georgians. In the
okay.
I've gone full Georgian. So
Right, this will be good. Name them.
Loosehead, Michele Niniashvili, and I know him. He's a good lad. I played at Montpellier with him.
All right.
Played at Montpellier with him. He used to call me the old dog, and I called him the
Big dog.
Super old dog.
young dog. Mamuka Gorgogzi was the
What? So
big
that's
dog.
not even a thing.
But that's why he's in, just because it was a thing. He had
Young
to have been
dog.
there. Yeah. So Michele's in at Loosehead. I spoke to him and said, look, mate, I'm putting together my ultimate fantasy team ahead of the World Cup.
Which is not so ultimate.
I said, who are you looking at? I said, like, who are you worried about? He said, I'm just worried about my teammates. So I've put his two teammates in there at hooker and prop.
Who are they?
They're expensive. The two Georgians.
What
Going
their
strong.
names?
Yeah.
Chijalasvili.
Chikodzli?
Chikotzli, that's the one.
Yeah, got him in.
Chikotzli at hooker. And
Yeah.
who is it, Gethin?
The tight end?
Maybe Japaritse?
Japaritse? Yes, it is. Yeah, it's Japaritse. Who is it? So who's my front row, please? Hoogs?
As you just said.
Who?
Triparitza? Niniashvili?
Yes, and who's the hooker?
I've forgotten. What was his name?
It's close.
It's close. It's
good. So they come in like it's just 15.5
Chipotle.
for that front row.
Chipotle will do. Chipotle will do. No disrespect, Gethin. I should say, with the Georgians, speaking to my friend and watching what they're coming. And when I say that they're coming, they've got history against Wales, as we know. Sorry, Gethin. It's
all right.
But the physicality up front, 2011, played in the World Cup against them. In Invercargill, people will remember that. But since then, Graham Roundtree's coach there, who's now at Munster. They've got Joe Worsley in the setup. But everything, when you look at Georgia, is around the physicality, around the set piece, around the drive.
Against Uruguay.
Against Uruguay, yeah, we're not going to judge them on that. I didn't see Lendecker. He was lifting at the front there. He's a great lifter. Great lifter. But this is about the Georgians and physicality.
But also about scoring fantasy points.
It is. And
Scrum penalties.
yes, scrum penalties.
Get a few points
absolutely
here and there,
And
wouldn't
you
you?
look at the pool that they're in, again, no disrespect, but I'm kind of disrespecting the teams that I'm going to talk about. Australia. Or Portugal, but more so the big ones, Australia and Wales, just to name two. Fiji don't have a great scrum either.
True.
They're brilliant in the backs. And this is why I've gone all in on
I
the
like
Georgian
it now.
trio. Thank you, I've
I
sold you.
like it, yeah.
Do you know how much you get for a scrum penalty?
Tell me.
1 point.
I'll do that.
Okay, I'm joking. It's 3 points. It's 3 points
Was it?
for a
Thank
scrum.
you.
Yes,
Oh, there we
and
go.
every single one of the front row get a point for that.
Do you think?
And by the way, we should say that this is not. You've got to have a hooker and two props in this game. You can't just have three hookers or three props. You've got to have a hooker and.
Does Ugo know that?
Do you know that? Of course he does.
Right.
Oh, you've not heard my front row yet.
Do you know what a hooker and a prop are? Yeah. Okay, you're good.
You're a hooker.
Yeah.
You used to be a hooker.
Yeah.
I played against you.
You ran around me a couple of times.
Yeah, standard.
Yeah.
And Jim. Anyhow, my front row is, I'll start with the hooker, Julien Montoya.
Oh, good choice.
Very good.
Great. There's something warped in your team here. I think he's
Yeah.
overspent.
Yeah.
I haven't. We'll get to
No,
that.
he's-
Julien Montoya, at tight head, Winnie Antonio.
He was cheap.
5 points.
5 points, but
Why is he so cheap?
doesn't get past 50 minutes.
Doesn't matter, but what he does in the 50 minutes, carries, tackles, scrummaging. When we talk about points for penalties from scrums outstanding, and like Lou said, Ellis Genge. That's hell of a front row.
That's good. That's very good.
Are you happy?
Winnie Antonio, 148 kgs before VAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ellis Genge, I completely agree with you. And Julian Montoya, I would have loved to pick very, very solid hooker.
Well, he's a try scorer. We know he's brilliant in the line out, and he's captain. So aggressive. He sets the tone. Really chuffed with that. Ellis Genge, the baby rhino. We've already spoken about how brilliant he is, how dynamic he is, and destructive he is, both sides of the ball. And then Winnie Antonio. I mean, that as a trio complement each other, and they're absolutely going to get me more points than your. I mean, I'm disappointed you're front row.
Winnie Antonio, fantastic lad. Too.
Is he a good lad?
Yeah, he could have been,
does he
been
know-
a Jimbo signing. Yeah.
Really? But does he know his hooker and his prop? Does he know Montoya and Ellis Genge? Like my Georgians, they're all. lined up.
They don't know each other.
Okay.
Here we go. That's the flaw in your team. They can't stand the sight of each other. Ellis Genge and Winnie Antonio physically cannot be mates. It's just not possible.
We're living in a fancy world.
Still in a fancy world. Did you not fancy a few Georgians in the front row?
I did. I
He
did.
couldn't pronounce the name, so he didn't.
Went without it. It's all very interesting, this, isn't it? Just what's you're talking about those. You got quite a few English guys in your front row and Argentinian as well. Quick word on Pool D.
Yep.
England, Japan, Argentina, Samoa,
Chile.
Chile. Of course, affects your second row.
Absolutely.
Well, with Pablo. Your mate. How's that going to go? England, Argentina, and England's group. Hugo, you were saying, England not had the best run into the World Cup, but they have a pretty good draw, don't they?
They haven't had a great run in this year, 2023, but when you look at their pool, when you look at the draw and their route to getting to where they want to get to, I think it's really favourable. England and Argentina, clear favourites in that group. No disrespect to Chile, to Samoa and to Japan. They expect to win those matches. I think you're going to need 3 wins to be able to qualify out of that group 100%. So it's a really interesting World Cup because it's probably been the most open World Cup, and it's certainly lopsided in terms of Pool A and B versus C and D. But England would be thrilled with that pool and potential route to quarterfinals at this point, that's for sure.
Yeah, England got a great chance, haven't they, Jim?
Yeah, they really have. Yeah, you don't want to say it's an easy route to the semi-finals, but again, the talking points going into the World Cup, and gosh, I should have picked my team based on that, and I haven't, is based on the side of the pool. Like England, Argentina's the big game for them up first. Japan aren't as good as they were, unfortunately, because how good were they in 2015, that famous win against South Africa, 2019, host nation. So you're hoping that Japan were going to be really good. Who knows, they might come good, but that first game for England, they've limped into the World Cup. Let's be honest about it. The stuff around Owen Farrell, the stuff around Billy Vunipola, but it's England. You think about what they've done 2003, they won it 2007, similar kind of scenario to what we've seen now. Get to the final against South Africa, having been humped by South Africa in game 1, and then 2019 finalists again. So you can write England off at your peril, and I think I've not even got an England player in my team.
From an outsider's point of view, slightly distant outsider, as a Frenchman looking at the home nations, of the home nations, who do you think has the greatest chance of qualifying or going longest or deepest into the tournament?
Look, you guys are underlining the main fact that with the draw, 2 of the current best 4 teams in the world, Ireland, France, New Zealand, South Africa, physically cannot make it to the semis. Yeah. That's the reality where all those second nations are saying, forget about current form, there's a huge opportunity to go through. I still think that Ireland can deliver. I still think that France will be there because they will be able to soak up the pressure. They will take on this popular support that France are going to be behind. They're going to bring, and that heat they're going to bring. And you know that in heart, energy, physicality, when it comes from the stands, it's a huge weapon to use on the rugby field, right? Yeah. So as long as they can soak up the pressure, I reckon France will be there. And I'm always very wary of the current world champs and of New Zealand because they will deliver. So
some game to kick it all off when you look at Pool A.
First weekend.
Do you know what? It's just like your fantasy teams. Some really interesting picks. We've got to choose a captain as well. But first, let's have a reminder of the teams that you've chosen. So it's been a lot of fun getting to this stage, and we've got 3 pretty good fantasy teams, I'd say so. 100 points to spend on 15 players. What did you spend, Jim, in the end?
I think it was just shy, 99.5. Well spent. points.
Maths never been your strong point. At one point we thought you spent 65 points. It's actually 97.5 points.
Oh, was it? Okay, well, I'm happy. I'll save a bit. Don't know what for, but I'm saving a bit.
Yeah, so you're just under the 100, which is good. Let's remind ourselves of your team. Now, you've gone for the Georgians in the front row. Are you actually expecting them to get through the group and score you some points later on in the tournament, or what's your thinking?
Right. Hand on heart, when it's outlaid like that, I've got a lot of good lads in the team. I've got a good mix, but in answer to your question, I've picked a lot of players where they're going to be in tight games. Georgia, obviously with their pool, with Wales, who they have history against. I'm confident they can beat Wales. Australia.
With scrum penalties.
With Australia, definitely with scrum penalties. I went against Fiji, so I'm happy. I'm happy with that. I don't need to worry about them getting out of the pool.
No, because you can change your team after the pool.
Exactly. I can rejig. What I am worried about with my picks is that I say South Africa heavy. I've gone for 2 with Etzebeth and Jasper Wiese, but I've also gone with Mac Hansen, Blair Kinghorn and Finn Russell. They're in the same pool, South Africa, Ireland and Scotland. So them games, I hope from a Scotland perspective, they're going to be tight. So are they going to be able to do what they want to do and make loads of meters and kick loads of points and make loads of tackles? Looking at it like that, I'm not too sure.
OK, but whilst you're on that, like just whilst I got you, South Africa, Ireland and Scotland, Tonga, who's getting out of that pool?
I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going to say Scotland and either the world champions are missing out or the world number 1 in Ireland.
Give us one.
Scotland and South Africa.
South Africa and Ireland.
Ben?
Same.
So safe. They're so safe.
The world number 1 and the world champions.
Very true.
97.5 points. There's your team going into Rugby World Cup 2023. It's a little bit random. Jim, you've got some absolute outstanding talent there, and you've got the lowest scoring players as well to allow you to have those superstars in your team. That was your thinking.
And also to give players like Pinto and Lendaka opportunities. It's great to see them teams, Portugal, Uruguay.
I totally agree. It's brilliant, isn't it?
So there's an emotional part.
I like that, yeah.
You know, it's not all about winning. It's about going there, and this is the Scotland in me with my history in World Cups and having a great time, Geffy.
Not for Hugo, though.
No.
Because you've been completely consistent with your team, haven't you?
Yeah, I've tried to be. I've tried to spread the money as equally as I could. I think my total points have come in at 99.5. But
We can confirm that, 99.5.
Thank you
good.
very much. But I'm actually, when I look at the back three, I'm really, really excited there. I think we've got game breakers, try scorers and goal kickers. Having 3 goal kickers in the back line, I think it's massively going to help with Geordie Barrett, Buffelli, as well as Finn Russell. That front row is as dynamic as what you'd see in World Rugby. The back row is exactly that, and the second row is really disruptive. So I'm pleased. I've got 3 Argentinians. I've got 3 All Blacks within it. I've only got the 1 Englishman. Got a Scot, a couple of French, Tongan. So I do think it is quite fairly representative of the World Cup in itself as well.
It's very strong, that. I'd say back row might be your only problem. Oh. Disciplinary.
Yeah, do you know, if I was to pick a weak link in it, I don't know, maybe it's not a question for me to answer, but yeah, I think it's a pretty well-balanced squad. I feel quite smug.
Yeah, I would be if I'm Ugo. You've got a few steals there. Ardi Surveyor, 7 points.
Yeah.
Lavani Bottia, with the whole back row, Matera as well. He's one of the best back rows in the world, is 5 points.
Can I just say, in terms of the points...
6 points. You're really good at maths, Jim.
In terms of the points allocation, they weren't exclusive to me. Like, everyone had the same players with the same points and decided to ignore it.
Yeah, you don't have like a 2.5 or a 3 in there, do you? You've just been consistent with some
my
steady players.
Yeah, my cheapest players at 5, and I've got a couple of them in, which has allowed me to spend elsewhere. So, yeah. But
New Zealand, you've got 3 New Zealanders in there. France first. Are they going to win that game?
Don't pause. You didn't let me pause.
It's an impossible question to answer, truly is.
You have to.
You've got the hosts of all the pressure and all the expectation, but playing at home against, I think, the best team on the planet in New Zealand.
We know all that. Just pick one.
Come on, mate.
Come on.
Come on, you.
Let the ticker talk. Come on.
New Zealand.
Oh, Ben. Yeah, just off the mate. I think France will do it. The only problem is
Do you think they'll win the tournament?
I think they will win the first game. The problem is it will not change anything to the rest of the tournament because it's the two possible outcomes on the quarterfinals will be tremendously hard anyway. I do think the Scots will take a scalp. They will beat some teams, so they will reshuffle that second pool. But whether you take Ireland or South Africa, both of them are tremendously good teams. Different profiles, different strategies, but both of them are as hard as anything. So
that's all really cute, but will France win the World Cup? I think that was my original question.
He did ask that.
I think France will win the World Cup and it will be tremendously hard. And I think we could have a massive upset who they play in the final.
Oh, without Mac as well.
Yeah.
All right, good. That's good.
Yeah.
Ben, let's have a look at your side. And I've got some
Yeah.
bad news. As you know, we've got some bad news because you got very excited picking your team and you've come in at 104.5.
104?
Maybe slightly overexcited.
Slightly over.
Yeah.
You spoke to your finance officer. They weren't happy about it. So we need to make a change. The good thing with this game, though, you do have an autofill. So what it's done, unfortunately, we've tried this feature, you've taken Jamie George out, who's coming at 10 points. And he's been swapped for Horry. 5.
Reliability in the line-out. You got to take, a leader of the pack who's going to hit those darts, is going to be able to provide the platform. So I'm genuinely happy with this. I mean, I thought it was a common knowledge that in France, we always round up to the nearest 100. So I went a little bit over ahead and thought it would be through, and I could have a little bit of the home ground advantage. But obviously, you guys are ruthless. You want to win. It's fine.
It's a weak pack. It's a weak pack. I've said it. It's a weak pack.